All right, guys. Phenomenal morning, phenomenal morning, phenomenal morning. I am your host, Sean East. Welcome to the Breakfast with the Brand. As always, I am flanked by the phenomenal Bobby Jackson. Listen, I got a secret today. I got a secret, right? I'm gonna go ahead and I have diabolical plans. I have diabolical plans, I promise you. And if you're here, you're a part of it. And I know you're here to learn everything there is to know about business and leadership and branding and closing and speaking and consulting and marketing. But listen, you're a part of my diabolical plan. I have to be honest with you. I'm just going to come clean before the new year. You are a part of my diabolical plan. Bobby, you are too. Phenomenal morning, brother. How you doing over there, man?
Oh, phenomenal. I'm worked out this morning, feeling real good. Mindset is it takes what it takes, and be proud of it. Be proud of doing what it takes, So that's how I'm feeling. Phenomenal.
Good. It takes what it takes, guys. Grab that book, man. Grab that book. Honestly, Trevor Moawad is a beast. Another one. So that's a key, guys. If I say grab a book, grab the book. if I say grab a book, grab the book. So that's a phenomenal book. Another one is Relentless. Tim S. Grover. Relentless, and it takes what it takes. I would strongly advise everyone to grab those before the new year, as well as all of my books, right? Grab those as well. The 7 prerequisites to success is exactly what I did, and it's everything that I learned before the young, tender age of about 36. Every single thing that I learned, I put into that book. If you're more concerned with leadership and how to build your coaching business, how to be a leader in your vertical, how to create consulting contracts for organizations as an executive coach for leadership development, that would be the Phenomenal Leader. And if you're interested in building your $1 billion brand, that marquee, preeminent brand for luxury, that would be the $1 billion brand, right? And we have one coming. Probably the first quarter. You always want to have something on this. You always want to have something simmering. Bobby, you always want to have something simmering. So as you put one out, you know who I learned this model from? You want to, I'm telling a lot of secrets today. As a matter of fact, I think we're going to come back with that secret. I don't want to give that one up not too soon, but I want you to think, what secrets am I going to be revealing today? What does that look like and why? We'll be right back. This is the Breakfast with the Brand. Let's grow. There's slow growth, and then there's scale. There's incremental growth, and then there's exponential growth. What I want to talk to you about is adding a 0 to you and experiencing exponential scale. Incremental growth says 1 + 1 is 2. Exponential growth says 1 + 0 is 10. Incremental growth says 2 + 2 is 4. Exponential growth says 5 + 0 is 50. Guys, listen, when you add a 0 to you, you can add a 0 to the marketplace. You can add a 0 to the value that you bring. So you can add a 0 to your family, add a 0 to your legacy. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about incremental, we're talking about exponential. I always say that business is a spiritual game. Just imagine when you combine your skills, your values, your abilities, your talents to something bigger than you, something greater than you, something like the power of exponential. That is adding a 0. Add a 0 to your competence, add a 0 to your confidence. This is about adding a 0 in your life, your value, your industry, and your mission. Let's grow. The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
All right, guys. All right. So one of the secrets that I'll reveal early is why we always have something on the back burner. You always, always, always must have something next. So I want to ask you, before we even get into the secret and where I learned it, what is your next? What is your next? Okay, great. You got the product out. You got the business out. You launched the LLC. Okay, great. What is your next? You graduated from college. Okay, great. What is your next? You lost 10 pounds. Phenomenal. What is your next? You always have to have a next. You're only as good as your last performance, guys. You're only as good as your last performance. What is your next? We hit certain numbers. Okay, great. We hit certain numbers, but if we didn't have the next play coming, it wouldn't have made a difference. We launched Branded Like a Leader. The next was coaching like a leader. The next was closing like a leader. The next was speaking like a leader. What is your next? What is your next? I just want to ask the people, like, put it in the chat. What is your next? Because 2024 is here. So yeah, you did a great job in 2023. What's your next? Or will your last performance be your best performance? And do you not have something lined up for next? Now, the person that I learned this from was Steve Jobs. If you look at Apple, it's the 15. You know what they got on the conveyor belt? Probably all the way to the 18. Real talk. This is the 15. They probably got all the way lined up to the 18, backed up. 16. And the year it's going to launch. 17. And the year it's going to launch. I promise you they're working on the prototype for the iPhone 18 right now. The 16 is already ready to go, minted. The 17 is in talks. And people are already tooling around with AI and what can they do for the 18. If you don't have a futuristic perspective, then you're living in the past.
Wow. You know, when you were talking about the futuristic perspective and all the different things coming into the new year, one thing that I've been increasingly interested in is how AI is affecting business, just the authenticity of business. In the music industry where I come from, we call it ghostwriting. When you have someone that writes your lyrics and you perform them on stage. Some people say it's a cop out. Some people say it's a part of the business. But
that's
here's
right.
what I would say, as 2024 comes into and you're thinking about what's next for you, you're thinking about how you're going to top 2023 with 2024, I would urge each of you to also think about how you're going to orient yourself to new technology. That's just something that's on my mind this morning. You know, it's on my mind. I've been seeing, because I was doing a post this morning, and as I pulled up the post to put it into Facebook, it said write with AI. It prompted me to write with AI. Now, I have a certain designation on Facebook that says entrepreneur. Now, I don't know if it prompts everybody to do that now, but they might be A/B testing. But if enough people do opt into this and start using this to make their posts, that could be, depending on how you look at it, your great advantage or your great downfall.
Woo! Come on. Come on.
Advantage if you learn to write copy for yourself, if you learn to be authentic, if you learn how to properly articulate yourself in the marketplace. Because here's my prediction. I learned, I'm going to give away a secret also. I got this one from who was it? Albert Einstein. Now, he didn't know it at the time. He's never said this, but I took this from him. Great thinkers always predict the future, either advertently or inadvertently. Great thinkers always predict the future. So I consider myself a thinker, and here's one of my predictions. I predict that AI is going to become one of the main tools that people use to get themselves out there and to start producing copy and content and start creating volume. I believe that when this happens, what's going to tend to happen is there's just going to be a circulation of the same content. Everybody's going to be looking the same, sounding the same, and appearing the same. Because AI, the GPT algorithm at least, is pulling from the web. And it doesn't have creative powers. It's not creative. It is generative. It recreates and regenerates. So I'm gonna stop there, but I would urge everyone, as we end out 2023 and we're going into 2024 and we're at the edge and precipice of technology and its integration into life and business, understand that that's a great differentiator for you if you learn how to do what AI and technology can never do, and that's think.
Come on. Q2 framework. I want you to think about this, and in the at a zero realm, in the exponential realm. And if you haven't put it in yet, put in the chat. What is your next? Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid, right? Be proud of yourself and set the bar high. Set the bar high. It's okay. Don't be afraid. Put in your next. What is your next? Hold yourself to a standard. You'll be able to come back to your post. You'll be able to come back to your own words, and you hold yourself accountable. Hold yourself accountable to your own words. Sometimes you got to be your own coach. If you don't have the wherewithal to make the investment yet, make the investment in yourself. What is your next? Hold yourself accountable. Be true to you. Have integrity. Okay, great. So Q2 framework, quality and quantity. Quality and quantity. Most people are imbalanced. Most people don't have homeostasis. Most people favor one side of their brain, Bobby. If you watch people walk, there was a phenomenal study. Listen to this, bro. There was a phenomenal study where they turned off the lights. They basically turned off the lights on people. And what they wanted to see is that if people could walk in a straight line, they wanted to see if people could walk in a straight line. And what they found out was that most people don't know what straight ahead is.
Wow.
Yeah. Now let's talk about clarity and focus and the ability to concentrate. Most people don't know what straight ahead is. What they found watching these people walk through day and night was that when they had the light of another perspective shining on them, if they had it, okay, so this is what it was. If they had the sun, they could focus and walk in a straight line. But when the clouds came out, they began to stray. They began to veer. They began to veer off the straight line. And following these people for more than 14 days, what they found was that people circled themselves. They felt like they were walking straight, but they literally crossed their own path and began walking in circles. Now imagine, just imagine no roads and you're walking in a straight line. Most people would say, I could walk in a straight line. I know what straight ahead is. Conventional wisdom would say, of course I know what straight ahead is. But research and science and study would prove you wrong. You would literally loop the loop and cross over your own path within 12 to 16 days. You would veer for a long time and then cross your own path again and almost think of a figure skater or a ice skater doing a figure 8.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be walking in circles. Most of us are walking in circles if you don't have a coach, if you don't have the sun, if you don't have something holding you accountable and showing you what straight ahead is and what the next target is. This is why people set targets and don't hit them. Because things get cloudy when you haven't done it before. People say, I'm gonna start a business. Great. There's a lot of money out here. There's a lot of opportunity. But without a North Star, without a GPS, without a coach, without someone giving you an outside perspective and keeping you on track to hit your goals, it's not going to work. I promise you, it's not going to work. You have to, and science edifies me. So this isn't Sean Wright E saying you can't do it. Science edifies me. Research edifies me. Anything I say is evidence-based. It's not opinionated. I don't care what my own opinion is. I try to leave myself out of the equation when it comes to bias, right? But there was something you said that made me think of the Q2 framework and the left and right hemisphere of the brain. You favor one of your legs. You know, one of your legs is more developed than the other one. One of your muscles is more developed than the other one. Most, like think about this as branding and marketing or marketing and closing. Some of you are really good at marketing. You're all over the place. You're always consistent and you've got a lot of quantity. And you're wondering why it's not working. And the reason why it's not working is because, yes, you're doing, but the quality of your doing is off. The quality, you're leaning towards the left on the quantity side, saying, I know what I should be doing. I'm consistently doing it. I've got all of these different Hootsuites, all of these different schedulers that just shoots my stuff out. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, great. You're consistent. But let's take a look at the right side. Is it quality that you're putting out? Or is it quantity that you're putting out?
Wow.
And then that person that's kind of deep, like every time you don't hear from them a lot, but when you do, it's like, wow, they're deep. They really got some good stuff. So they're leaning over to the other side. They've got quality work. But the reason why they don't get deals or build their business phenomenally is because their quantity is off. They favor the left side of their brain. Super quality, light on quantity. So I want you to think, am I balanced? Do I have homeostasis? Am I able to produce quality and quantity at the same time? Because when you have these generative interfaces, there's a very good chance that you can produce quantity. And that's what most people want. They're like, I got to do more. I need a VA. I need people to post. I need somebody to do the work. And AI is like the go-to. It's like, oh, yes, beautiful. Now we can produce high quantity. Mm-hmm. But I want you to be very careful. I want you to thread the needle on this one. Will you sacrifice quality for quantity? Because if you do, now you become watered down. And I promise you, like you want to become an expert in your vertical, not a generalist. Most generalists are all over the place. They produce a whole lot of quantity, but their quality is lacking. Think deeply about this and make the right decision. We'll be back. This is The Breakfast with the Brand. Let's grow. It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just a very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I said Sean Rye East. I'm proud. I said Sean Rye East. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Sean, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and you know, game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes. All right, so we like to pride ourselves on the Breakfast with the Brand and the Sean Rye East brand from the very beginning, right? We like to pride ourselves on being an international company. We work with people from all over the place, all over the world, and we have a request or a question from Berenice from South Africa who says, how do you get the balance of quality and quantity? And I love the question. And welcome to the Breakfast with the Brand. Thank you for listening in. It says, how do you get the balance of quality and quantity? Just so everybody knows, like, you can ask a question. Like, this is live, this is not taped. So you can ask a question and we'll respond to you in real time. First, you have to make the decision. First, you have to make the decision of what you're going to do. So if you choose to have quality and quantity, that's a decision. And that's going to entail the next steps and your strategy behind it. If you say, I'm just going to post a lot, I'm going to be everywhere, I'm going to be omnipresent, but you choose not to say, I'm going to produce consistent quality content, then it's a whole different thing. You can go to ChatGPT and say, give me the next 45 days of posts about business. And you'll get the next 45 days of posts about business. Will they be quality? Definitely not. They might start off as quality. Well, you might get 1 or 2 quality posts, but then it'll all start to sound the same. It'll all start to look the same, right? And you don't want to be that person. So it starts with the decision. And then you have to know your capacity. What is my capacity to produce? Quality and quantity. And you have to, that comes with self-awareness. Self-awareness. You have to know, you have to be able to weigh yourself and stand on the scale of quality and stand on the scale of quantity. What capacity do I have? Do I have a job? Am I posting while I have a job? Okay, then I might be able to post at 7 o'clock in the morning, afternoon, 12 p.m., 3 p.m. before we get off, and then 6 or 7 p.m. when I get home. It's really simple. But the problem is people don't track. So it's the same thing, Bobby, with the sun, right? They don't have the North Star to keep them walking in a straight line over and over and over and over again. I gave something away yesterday. I said, if you write 1 page a day, you'll have a book every year. But most people don't have the discipline to stay on track. They make a decision. People make decisions all the time, but they don't put the discipline behind the decision to stay on course and give it time to develop. And develop to the point where you're dominating. Because if you did a book every year, you'd be in a dominant space in your vertical, 1,000%. Your price would be able to raise. Your confidence would go through the roof because you're being consistent. And people would fear you in your vertical. They'd be like, nah, I can't, like, that's not competition. How can we collaborate? like, how can I learn? As a matter of fact, a lot of people that you look up to will turn around and look up to you and become your clients because they try to figure out how you stay consistent. Consistency, discipline, and dedication are some of the highest quality artifacts of leadership that most people cannot keep up with. They just can't do it. And it starts with a decision as to whether you can, and you have to dedicate yourself to that decision.
Yeah, that's a lot there. It's a lot there because I've been over here writing, trying to take notes and also formulate my thinkings, because I want to give you guys something this morning, but I'm interested in how to lay it out, because I was watching Closing Like a Leader this morning. I was getting my time in, getting my reps in. And I was reminded, people are not paying for what they need. They're paying for what they want. So what I want to do is I want to be very, very particular about how I phrase this so that you get what you want, while I'm also packing in there all the things that you need, to really get this. So when I'm thinking consistency, dedication, discipline, and the effects of ChatGPT, it took me to the stock market. And you guys know I'm a financier, but we're not going to go too deep. We're just going to kind of touch on this because business success, because I've gotten the 400% revenue growth. Many of you all know this for 3 consecutive years. And I want you guys to see how it was possible, because you can do it too. Like, you can do it too. So here's something that we have to understand. You want to stay somewhere long enough to predict what's going to happen. So ChatGPT is a result of, say, and this is just a round number, say 20 years of insights and innovations. So think about it like this. Marketers said, we need to be able to produce quality content. And the most innovative marketers kept figuring out ways to source content, to figure things out, and they just got really, really good. And the better they got at it, they started to fashion new tools, because they got better and better and better. And as they fashioned new tools, they left behind their old tools. So you can look at ChatGPT almost like a compilation of all of their old tools, almost like a tool belt of old tools. And you're pretty much able to come in and use the marketer's leftovers, so to speak. And I know I'm being, harsh with this.
No, but you got to be.
So you're really going through, and ChatGPT is saying, hey, look what I got for you. I got this whole chest of tools that you can use, but the person that's making the real money was using those 20 years ago. They were sourcing, they were producing at that capacity 20 years ago. So when it comes to consistency, discipline, dedication, and staying power, one of the ways that I was able to get the 400% revenue growth is because I set myself down and I stayed put, period. Like, I got into Branded Like a Leader, and my coach told me, if you do these things, you'll get these results. Stick it out, persist, grind. And I didn't always take that advice. So don't feel like you're not like I'm any better than you if you felt like you belt out before. I belt out too. Like, I got to a point where I was there, and then I was making the investments, and I bailed out. I was like, Coach, I'm done. And he was like, okay, fine, cool, good luck. And then I came back, Coach, let me in. I need help. Don't leave me out here. And that is like, okay, good. So why am I saying all of this to you? I'm saying this because the money that most people are trying to make, in my personal and professional experience, is on the other side of the time they're not willing to dedicate.
Say that again.
All the money that people are trying to make is on the other side of the time they're not willing to dedicate. And I mean dedicate, like overtime, like extended periods of time. Because in that time, what you will find is what Robert Greene calls the dynamic. And the dynamic is how things interact with each other. So there is a marketing sales dynamic. There is a customer closing dynamic. And when you understand the dynamic, you can get a feel for the dynamic. And when you can get a feel for what's going to happen, then you can start to vision. You can start to envision possibilities with accuracy. And when you get accurate vision, you become unstoppable because you know what's going to happen. You've got so much experience and you got such a realistic and reality grounded feel for the dynamic. You can actually predict and execute ahead of the competition. And that's what people need to do to get those windfall gains. But you got to dedicate and stick in a place.
And that requires discipline. And that requires patience. And that requires faith. It's one of the big conundrums. Won't get into that piece too much because everybody has their own thoughts about this. But I would challenge your faith. Because we say we believe, but we don't give it time to matriculate. We say we believe and we say we know things, but do we trust what we say we believe? And what is our threshold of trust? When do we say enough is enough? Because if you're consistent and you're dedicated, then enough is never enough. As a matter of fact, Bobby, I wouldn't be here if I would have stopped in the 9th year. And for some people, they don't have enough time or patience to get to the 9th inning of a baseball game or the 4th quarter. Literally. Some people can't sit still for 15 minutes. That's where meditation helps. Like God is found in the details, but the devil is too. So if you can't be phenomenal in the basics, you won't be phenomenal in the brilliance. If you haven't mastered the basics, this is why I keep people coming back to the same thing, Hold on, come back to the same thing. It starts with the decision. So Bobby said that he was listening to Closing Like a Leader earlier, watching Closing Like a Leader earlier. Closing Like a Leader is a sales training, just so you guys are aware of it. It's a sales training that we have inside of Brand University, and it teaches everything that you'd ever possibly want to know about closing deals. If you guys want to add a zero to your revenue, if you wonder like how our testimonials come out where people just double their revenue in less than a month, double their productivity, and I'm talking about 6-figure productivity in a month, that's Closing Like a Leader. 400% revenue increase, Closing Like a Leader. 450K in less than 90 days, Closing Like a Leader, Closing Like a Leader, Closing Like a Leader. Where does it begin? Branded Like a Leader. But it takes time. So people ask me, Sean, how long is this? How long is this? And as soon as they ask me that question, I already know that they have a gap. They have a gap because what was I studying today? Closing Like a Leader. And this is 2 to 3 years after the recording. And I'm still finding nuances and I'm still like, ooh, okay, great, boom. And what else am I doing? Studying all kinds of training. I did the Northwestern Kellogg training on sales. And I'm sitting there with the revenue and the who I am. And people are like, they're Googling me in the class and they're like, you're Sean Raiz. And I'm like, yeah, I am. They're like, what are you doing here? And I said, probably the same thing you're doing. What are you doing here? They're like, well, I'm here to study because I have a sales position. And someone else is like, well, I'm here, but my organization sent me here. And I said, well, I'm here because my organization sent me here. And I'm studying sales because there's always more to know. There's always more to learn and there's always more to do. Because even as far as I am ahead, I'm not where I want to be or where I need to be. Why? Because we haven't changed the world yet. We haven't changed the world consistently and consecutively. And if I'm winning, that's great. Now Bobby's winning, that's great. But if I can't affect you, if you're not winning, then my job isn't done yet. And that's why we're here. Because it's a never ending. And that's going to bring me to my last secret, but I'm not going to give it to you yet. I just want you to pay attention and put in the chat what you've learned so far from this call for the last 40 minutes. What have been your main takeaways? Let me see if you're paying attention and if it's registering. We'll be right back. This is The Breakfast with the Brand. I don't talk theory. I don't talk hyperbole. I don't talk opinion. Nothing I talk is anything but evidence-based.
During the G Circle retreat in Atlanta, I had the pleasure and the honor of listening to Mr. Sean Raiz. He will not only impact your organization, but he will elevate your team to another level.
When you change you, when you put you into the equation, the whole system is different. I guarantee you, you got the right thing. You are the right person. If you can present yourself in the best way possible, there's no negotiation.
His energy is infectious, and I have so many takeaways from the presentation that I can't wait to get started and implement them today to see the result.
Business is like a game of chess. It's not checkers. If you don't know how to lead with a personal brand, then you're losing the battle.
Everything about Sean's talk was fantastic. I mean, I got so much from it.
So he was really bringing fire and passion and just love and spirit to let everybody else know how do you become a leader amongst the leaders.
You hold the key in your hand. There is more power in this phone than there was that took the first man to the moon.
His energy, his dynamic information, gave a really great presentation.
I didn't ask for any money. I didn't have an offer. I had a heart to help people and meet them where they were at and find their need and fulfill it.
Sean is the bomb.
Marketing like a leader. So marketing like a leader is teaching you the 5 P's of marketing. People, place. You got to know who you're selling to, and you got to know where you're selling to them. You got to know your product. If you don't understand your product, no one else will either. So you have to get clarity on that. Positioning. What is your positioning in the marketplace? What I like to say is that we help people go from the best kept secret to the only viable option. The only viable option. You need the number 1 positioning in your vertical. And then the 5th P is pricing. Oh, guys, what is your price? I always say to add a 0 to your pricing. People come to me with $5,000 products. And I say, okay, that sounds good, but let's see if we can't add a 0 to the back of it, make it $50,000, and then see what kind of value we need to put in there. So that's what we're going to teach you inside of Marketing Like a Leader, how to market yourself as a leader and take absolute ownership of the vertical. Click the link below and let's grow. I'll see you on the other side. Marketing Like a Leader. So marketing like a leader is teaching you the 5 P's of marketing. People, place. You got to know who you're selling to, and you got to know where you're selling to them. You got to know your product. If you don't understand your product, no one else will either. So you have to get clarity on that. Positioning. What is your positioning in the marketplace? What I like to say is that we help people go from the best kept secret to the only viable option. The only viable option. You need the number 1 positioning in your vertical. And then the 5th P is pricing. Oh, guys, what is your price? I always say to add a 0 to your pricing. People come to me with $5,000 products. And I say, okay, that sounds good, but let's see if we can't add a 0 to the back of it, make it $50,000, and then see what kind of value we need to put in there. So that's what we're going to teach you inside of Marketing Like a Leader, how to market yourself as a leader and take absolute ownership of the vertical. Click the link below and let's grow. I'll see you on the other side. Yeah, man, I wanted to play that twice for the people, Bobby. I wanted to play that twice because I want to teach you guys something and I want you to understand it. There are 5 P's to marketing, right? So we're just like kind of like a plethora. The cup runneth over here, right? There is no scarcity of content. There is no lack of abundance when you come over here. We're going to give you more for free than you get for a fee. And I'll repeat that again. More for free than you get for a fee. Share this out, guys. Share this with somebody. Okay, so Luana said this, right? I love the comment that she made. She thanked me for caring enough. And what I want to challenge you to do is care enough to just share it. right? Just care enough for someone else, a struggling entrepreneur, someone who's trying to connect the dots, someone who's trying to make sense of their lives and their business for their children and for their legacy. Like, share this out. It's not that hard, right? It's a button. Share this out to someone else so they can pick up something that will help them add a zero to themselves, to their confidence, to their health, or to their business. I mean, that's the very least that you can do. We're trying to do the most, and we're asking you to do the very least, right? Just share this out so someone else can get it. So what I want to help you with real quick before we close is 5 P's to marketing. There's 5 P's to marketing. Number 1, your product. What is your product? I always talk about having the next. Okay, you just put something out. Great. What's your next? What is the product? What is the place? You guys want to make money, but you might be in the wrong place trying to move the product. The product, there might not be something wrong with the product, but it might be positioned wrong in the wrong place. So there's place and then there's positioning. How are you positioned? Or do you show up consistently? Do you show up luxury? Are you properly adorned? Do you speak educatedly? Or do you speak do you speak in a way that attracts high ticket or attracts low ticket? How do you speak? What is your positioning? What is your place? What is your product? The people, who are you selling to? Do you even know? Do you know who your ideal client is? Have you spent enough time to get into the psychographics, the infographics, the demographic, and the way that they make decisions, the decision-making process, the pains, the fears? You're wondering why your marketing is falling on deaf ears, but it's because you haven't spent enough time with the people that you're trying to get money from. So I just said something that's real powerful. Stop trying to get money and start trying to add value. Stop trying to get money and start trying to add value, and your business would probably change dramatically. And number 5, your pricing model. Most people can tell if you're the person they want to work with because of your prices. Because if it's this way, Bobby, right? Mm-hmm. And not to throw any company under the bus, let me just say it this way. Okay, so without naming names, I was caught trying to go to a speech. So I had a speaking event, and I was last minute. I got called at the last minute. Sean, you come over here, money for you, huge group, huge crowd, let's go. I said, okay, great. Went to the airport because I couldn't even order online. It was so fast. I couldn't order online. It was like, nope, you got to go to the airport. So I said, cool. I get to the airport, and they're like, okay, you can fly this airline, you can fly this airline, you can fly this airline. And I'm like, okay, first class is booked. Give me business. Okay, great, business. And then they gave me prices. And one airline's business class was like $300. And I was like, no way. I said, no way, because that's not business. Now, some people would get there and say, huh, great, I get a deal. I get to keep money and get on for 300. That's what I have to take. Me, I wouldn't dare. I am not their ideal client. No way. And it could have been a nice flight, could have been a nice airline. I might have got it if the price would have been higher. But as soon as I saw the price, I disqualified it because it was too low for what I was looking for. I want you guys to understand this psychology. You're trying to make more money, but you're not going to make more money by trying to get on a race to the bottom of the pricing scale. Raise your prices. Because if that 300 would have had a 1 in front of it and been 1,300, or had a 0 in back of it and been 3,000, I'd have said, whoa, what's in business for 3K? I didn't know what that looks like.
Yeah.
If it would have had a 1,300, I would have been like, okay, that sounds better. It could be compared to first class, perhaps, if I would have bought it in advance, and it's because it's that price because I'm just getting to the airport, have to make the run for it. Let's go. I would have purchased it either way, if it would have been 1,300 or if it would have been 3K. But the 300, never, ever, ever. So think about your pricing model and think about what I just said to you.
All I can do is laugh, because I'm just looking at my own growth and development and where I started when I came into the community, when I came into the brand. I remember not wearing a button up. I remember not having a tie. I remember not having a blazer. I remember who I was, and not always having a haircut, so to speak, and granted, being in the Marine Corps, I had something, but there would be times where I just didn't care, so to speak, because of how I saw myself and not knowing that impression was being, conveyed to other people. So that's the piece that left me speechless. Now that I look around at my closet, like if I go to my closet, there's only certain brands in there because it's identifies with where I'm at and where I'm going. So I just wanted to hit that piece, but I did have a saved round, as we say in the military, a final word, a parting word on my side that's resonating with me authentically. And that is grow up. That's my thing. I've had to grow up a lot this year. And I had a conversation yesterday that required me to grow up even more. And as we close out the year, those of you all that have children, you've probably had to parent them and you've probably had to tell them to grow up. And the thing about growing up, I think, is there's this bittersweet experience that happens when a child has to let go of a fantasy, a unrealistic expectation, or something. Like, it doesn't feel comfortable, but you got to do it to go to the next level. Like, you can't go to college with elementary or high school tendencies and think you're going to be as successful, and you can't get into the workforce thinking you're going to be as successful, and you can't come into business thinking you will be as successful as you were in the workforce if you don't grow up. So I think that'd be my parting piece, is if your goal is to close more deals, make more money, hit it harder, crush it, raise your prices, then grow up in as many areas as you can. If your goal is to make more money, get the revenue growth, all those things, I think I can contribute and attribute to a closer connection with reality. I think that's one of the things, and I haven't told you this, Coach, but I think one of the biggest things you've helped me with this year specifically is getting closer to reality, my reality. Because everybody, I think, reality to some, I don't want to get into the weeds of this, but some will say it's relative. And to a degree, I can say it is. Your reality is based on the life you decide to live. And I decided to be an entrepreneur with a wife, with kids, who runs a business that I plan to turn into a multi-million-dollar business and $1 billion business. And if that's my goals, then my reality is A, B, C, D. And you helped me tremendously with understanding that. So that's my piece, get closer, guys, to reality and grow up. Helps.
Thank you, brother. I greatly appreciate that, right? Guys, I want you to understand, like, what you're watching now, you won't find, right? You won't find, because it's not taped, it's not pre-planned. Like, I literally send Bobby the link immediately, like right before the call. As a matter of fact, sometimes it's coming on already, and I'm sending him the link to get on. We don't have conversations about how we're going to script this, how it's going to look, and how we're going to matriculate this into sales. Like, that's not my concern. And that leads me to my last secret. If you guys weren't here, I would still be doing this. Now, I love the people that I do it for. I want you to understand. I appreciate the people that I do it for. I'm glad that you're here. But if you were not here, you would just be one person that's not on the call. I would still be doing this. I had a sales team meeting today, as I always do. I'm always training in sales, and I'm always training the people in sales. Sometimes I'm on the receiving end. Most times I'm on the delivering end. And I told the people in the room, some of which were my very children, because I love them and I know they have to be successful. So I'm teaching them sales at a young age. And I told everybody in the room, if you were not here, I would still be here. If nobody came, I would still be here. If nobody was interested in learning sales, I would still be training in sales because we've had a phenomenal quarter, man. We've had a phenomenal month. We've had a phenomenal year, and we've had a phenomenal track. And the reason why is because I did what it takes to take us back to the very beginning. The book, it takes what it takes. I do what it takes every single day. I've got a coach on the bike, like Alex Toussaint. Shout out to Alex Toussaint. Like Alex Toussaint is a beast, guys. If you're not following him on Peloton, then start. Because that's like my coach on the bike every morning. If you don't have a coach in sales, you're not even approaching what's possible in sales. If you're not training in, you have no clue what's possible to unlock revenue and profit pockets. Like you don't even, you're on a different world. You're in a different world than what's really possible. And that's why when you see people hyped and excited and enthusiastic, you're like, I don't understand. Like, what kind of juice are they on? We're on juice of this world, like reality. Bobby said he's coming closer and closer to reality. And as he comes closer and closer to reality, every single year, his revenue increases 400%. And that's why we're excited, because now he's able to retire his wife, put his kids in private school, change vehicles, change houses, change cars, change tax brackets. And we want the same thing for you. And I promise you, there's no under the table checks coming for this. This is just because I want for you what I want for myself. I want for you what I want for myself. And that's why we give you more for free than you get for a fee. This is The Breakfast with the Brand. We'll be here tomorrow, same time, same place. You can count on it. There's a lot of things that you can't count on and can't rely on in this world. We are one that you can. Let's grow.